All right, hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Rithmm Rundown with myself, Josh Applebaum, and my partner in crime, fellow wise guy, fellow sharp, Mr. Cade Harper. And Cade, we got a lot to get to. Of course, it is a big Thirsty Thursday here, so we do have the Ravens and the Dolphins, and we're kind of talking about this game a little bit earlier in the Rithmm group chat with our producer Parker. And there's a couple really good rhythm system matches recommendations for this game, a couple of green star plays. So I'm excited to get your thoughts on the side as well as one of the quarterbacks here. I know all the attention is on Lamar Jackson returning from his injury, but Tua, what can Tua do tonight? Whether we're going to root for a good Tua game, bad Tua game, we'll reveal that here in a second, but there is a really good edge on the Tua passing yards here for tonight. And then, Cade, I cannot wait to break down the Chiefs and the Bills with you. This might be the AFC Championship game. We shall see. And then I also want to get into some totals. I know we haven't hit on a lot of totals in the NFL so far this season, but now might be the time to look at some of these overs. It's been a weird year, Cade, where these overs have done very well historically. Public likes to play the over, root for points. Therefore, going under, going contrarian has been a really good system for over like 2 decades at this point. Not this year. Overs are 65 and 54%, 3% ROI. So there's 2 games here where I'm looking to target some overs. And then we got to get to some college football. Vandy in Texas is the big one that everyone's got their eyes on here. Arch Manning, will he play? Will he not play? He's coming off the concussion there. We've seen that line kind of go back and forth, but Rithmm does have a bit of an edge in that one. Oklahoma and Tennessee, another angle here where we've seen a really sharp line move that coincides with a good Rithmm edge. And then Texas Tech and K-State, another one here where we got a good Rithmm kind of discrepancy between the betting market and obviously what Rithmm is showing. But Cade, first off, man, how you doing? How you been? And you're looking pretty studious tonight. You're rocking the glasses, man. I think you got like 5% sharper putting on those glasses.
I hope so, because the moment that I brought up me being up decently good last week, yeah, that regression hit pretty like a hefty, what do you even call those, like dump trucks. So yeah, we took it on the chin a little bit, little 1-2 Mayweather action on Saturday and Sunday, but it's a new week, new games, so we're ready to bounce back. And yeah, hopefully the glasses and the vest are a difference today.
Well, Cade, don't be beating yourself up or anything, because I can tell you I'm in a cold stretch too, and it's been brutal out there. The other angle thing you're looking at when you're in a hot and cold stretch, number one, realistic expectations. If you think you're going to just jump into sports betting and win every day and quit your day job and become a full-time bettor, I got news for you. I'll sell you a bridge. I don't know whatever that joke is there. I got a bridge to sell you, but I think you just got to never get too high or too low. Like when we're running hot and things are going well, don't get cocky, don't get arrogant, don't double down, triple down, feel like you're invincible. But also when you're losing, don't beat yourself up as hard as it is, especially with us and our platform, Cade, because we're providing recommendations. So when we lose a bet, it's like taking 2 haymakers from Mike Tyson. You lose your own money, and then you feel like an idiot because he handed out a recommendation that ended up losing. So obviously, we take this extremely seriously and never want to, recommend a loss. But I think you got to know betting's hard. These odds makers set extremely sharp numbers. Then you got bad beats and crazy things happening. I mean, the weird part about a losing streak is not just that you're losing. And for me, it's been going on for, I think, like 6 days at this point. It's that you're beating closing lines and still losing. So when you can get, a dog at 7.5, they close 6.5 and they lose by 20. Are you an idiot because the play you recommended lost? Or did you do your part as a bettor, took all the information, compiled it, beat the closing line, and then the team on the field obviously let you down? So, Cade, we've all been there. You bet on sports long enough, you're going to have hot streaks, you're going to have cold streaks. So I'm right there with you, buddy. So the other thing that I want to mention too, if you're on a cold streak, no one's going to take away your betting card. No one says, oh, you're in timeout. We can bet tonight. We can be responsible. We can stay disciplined with our bankroll management. But again, getting down on system matches when you see them, when Rithmm recommends them, we're always playing that long game. So if you make 1,000 bets in a year, there's going to be a stretch over that 1,000 where you go 1-9, 2-12, just as you're going to go 9-1 and 12-2. So let's see if we can get some winners here for tonight, Cade. Obviously, let's start with Miami and Baltimore here. Lamar Jackson, of course, is back after he had his hamstring injury. And this one's interesting to me, Cade, because this is right up my wheelhouse. If you're looking at kind of just the way this game has broken, we opened with the Ravens with Jackson back around a 7.5-point road favorite. And the public says, number one, the sports betting thing is easy. Just play favorites, Cade, because favorites have just been ridiculous this year.
Rolling.
Once again.
Yeah.
Yeah, 67 and 54 ATS. That is a 55% win rate. So easy play is take Baltimore, right? However, even though Baltimore, from my perspective, and it's not an opinion, you look at the data from DraftKings, 70% of tickets are on the Baltimore Ravens saying this favorite trend will continue. Lamar Jackson is back. They're going to beat up on Miami, who's terrible. But big thing for me, Kate, is why aren't we up to -8, -9? Why hasn't this line continued to go up in favor of Baltimore if everyone's playing the Ravens? That would look to me like some line freeze liability on Miami plus the points. They're contrarian in a very heavily bet game, which, again, contrarian hasn't done great the last 3 weeks or so, but it's always trying to take that long-term approach. Primetime dogs, they're 15-10 against the spread this year, 67%. If you are a big primetime dog getting 6.5 or more, you're actually 6-2 ATS this year, and you're 59-40 ATS, 60%, with a 14% ROI since 2020. And if you look at Tua in the spot, Tua is very Jekyll and Hyde home road. He's on the road. I know he had a big upset win last week, won outright, getting, 7 points against Miami. But he's done well at home. Obviously, warmer climate, guys from Hawaii, makes total sense. But he's 23-13 against the spread, 64% at home. As a home dog, he's 8-3 ATS. That is a 73% cover rate. And he's actually 6-0 against the spread as a dog when he's getting 6 or more. So there's a lot of angles lining up here in favor of the Miami Dolphins. And the kicker for me, Cade, if we can pull up our rhythm breakdown for this game, you look at the projection for this one, and if we go to our NFL tab, we'll go to our game props, our game recommendations. I have 2 models lit up on Miami. First one, Miami plus 7.5, both Green Star recommendations. Miami plus 4.7. And my second model, my Josh ATS model, Dolphins plus 5.4. So even though it's been a flood of don't think about it, take the favorites, they're cashing, books are getting crushed, contrarians like me are not happy recently, I got to stay true to the model. Public, the Ravens, line really hasn't moved. Got some good system matches on Miami, and Rithmm is saying, yeah, we should take the Dolphins here. This should be about a 5.5 point game. You're getting 7.5. Cade, give me Dolphins 7.5. I'll now dish it off to you. What's your take on this one tonight?
I like it. It's back to the well with these dogs, right? Keep doing it. I mean, really, the spot is great in my opinion. Dolphins last week up against the Falcons, who in their right mind had them by 30 against that team? Not a person on this world, right? So they're actually, Tua specifically, 7-2 against the spread after pulling any upset, regardless of anything. So 7-2 against the spread, including 5-1 in his last 6 games in this kind of spot. Same thing for Lamar and Harbaugh on short rest. They haven't been great. I like the spot. It feels kind of like, I don't want to call it a letdown. Kind of weird if I call it that, but because it's his first game back, it's just, I think the Dolphins have been extremely unlucky. And yeah, you can say that they've been bad offensively. Their defense is improving though. I don't like them as much to win, but I do think it's just a lot closer than people think. I think the hype built up around it kind of just gets anticipating a blowout when in reality, I just think it's just going to your classic closer Thursday night game. So yeah, I do like the 7.5.
Yeah, and Rhythm's with us, which is obviously a huge cherry on top here, recommending that we take Miami in the points again, closer to a 4.7, 5.4, basically a 5.5 type game. And this is something you and I, Cade, look toward is, when you're looking at discrepancies and recommendations, especially in a spread sport where, a missed extra point, a safety, something weird happens. If you can get a discrepancy of, a full 2, almost 3 points off of the Vegas number, and obviously what really gives me more confidence to make this play. The other angle to me is, when you're going to bet a dog, to me, you're looking at one of two things, Cade. Either you're going to play great defense, keep it low scoring and cover the number, or you're going to score on your own and keep pace and backdoor cover. So the angle to me is not expecting a low scoring game. I want to get your thoughts on this really high total here in a second of around 51.5. But hey, if you're the Dolphins, you want them to score and keep pace. If you're expecting a low scoring game, I don't think that really plays into the game script that you're looking at. And one thing that gives me a little confidence is just how bad this Ravens defense has been. I mean, you think about the Ravens historically, Cade, they're these tough defensive guys. They'll pop you. They're really, really physical. Well, that really hasn't been the case this year. They're allowing 30 points per game. That ranks 30th out of 32 teams. So they've literally been the third worst defensive team in all of football. So hopefully that maybe opens the door for Miami to put up points again and keep pace or backdoor cover. So yeah, you and a half here. But I want to get your thoughts on the total because just as we kind of hit on those favorites doing very well, again, we got these overs really crushing it. They're covering or they're winning 54% of the time this season. And the total is interesting to me because it's really only gone one way. It's ticked up. Some of these books open as low as 48.5, 49. Now you're up to 51, 51.5. And if you're looking at, something to hang your hat on, it's that both of these teams have been really good over teams this year. So Ravens are 6-1 to the over. That is tied with the Vikings for the best over team in football. Dolphins are right behind them at 6-2 to the over. Weather shouldn't be an issue in Miami here tonight. And when you look at these high totals, 49.5 or more, they're 8-5 to the over this year. So you have a lot of, market movement over, two good over teams that score and give up a lot. But again, if I'm going to make a play, I want a lot of these, market-based numbers to align with what Rithmm is saying. And I see a bit of a discrepancy here because Rithmm is saying, hey, maybe we should sell off of all that, crazy hype on the over. Public's cashing these overs at a ridiculous rate here. It's ticked up, so maybe sell high and go under. And that's what Rithmm is predicting. So two models here, both on the under. One Green Star Sharp recommended play. I mean, you're going to have to sweat this one out, but under 51.5, Rithmm is predicting 50.9. Cade, I don't want to touch this total only because situations where the market and everything is telling me over and Rhythm's telling me under, I can't align both things together to give me full confidence. But your thoughts on this total? Are you leaning more to the Rithmm under, or is this a don't overthink it? This is going to be a 30 to 24 game.
The props that I have kind of contradict itself with a total play, so I am not playing a total. Yeah, nonetheless, both these defenses have been putrid. You have Dolphins run defense who has been very, very, very shaky, who somehow managed to stop Atlanta's last week. And then, again, Ravens just get so much depth back. Their pass defense is back, which is looking a lot better in terms of depth-wise. But they get Ronnie Stanley. Obviously, they get Lamar. They get key pieces to their offense that lean toward a total that, hey, we're going to open up so many areas of our offense to where this should have zero problem putting up 30-plus points tonight. That's the thing. Surely they do, right? But I'm not going to risk it personally. I have a couple of, and like I said, we'll get into the props in a little bit, but yeah, the props that I have tonight just kind of contradict itself a little bit with my lean, I guess you could say. But yeah, I don't really have a side there.
I'm with you. And again, we talked about this last week, and if you had kind of watched some of these games, I think it's an underrated way to make some money. If your pre-flop bets are letting you down, you're betting dogs and they're getting taken to the woodshed. I mean, that's really been the story recently. Well, still, I think you can claw back some of these units by selling high on early scoring. So we talked about this last week, but let's just say, it's a 7-7 game, halfway through the first quarter, 14 points are scored. And the live line is now up to, 64, 63, some much higher number than the current closing pre-flop total of 51.5. Is that a time where you jump in and say, hey, I know it's a high scoring early start, but typically you see some of these totals kind of creep down as a lot of, defensive adjustments are being made, and maybe you're getting surprised early, but it kind of quiets down. So maybe an opportunity here where if you got a lot of early scoring, you kind of say, hey, let me sell high and maybe play a live line under. Now, you were talking about the prop bets, and there's one that I love, and then I want to hear all the ones that you're on here tonight, Cade. But this is kind of an obvious one, and it's looking at taking advantage of Tua against a really, really bad secondary here, as well as a pass defense that is getting lit up. So when I go to the passing yards prop, I land on Tua over 217.5 passing yards. Now, really 61.3. that is one of the bigger discrepancies that I've seen in quite a while, Cade. You are literally, 40 yards more that Rhythm is predicting compared to what the betting market is offering. And number one, you had me at this discrepancy. Like if Rhythm was predicting, 220 and you're over 217 and a half, hey, that's not a huge discrepancy. But man, that is just a massive, massive difference that gives me some confidence as well as a Green Star recommended play. But I think your other angles here to take this Tua over, number one, it's a really high total game, 51 and a half. You're expecting a lot of offense. Number two, the weather's great in Miami. Miami, you always got to worry about rain, wind. As of right now, and again, things can change on a dime in Florida, but as of right now, it looks pretty clear. No issues with the weather. And then also going up against a bad pass defense. Ravens are giving up around 250 passing yards a game. I believe that's third or fourth worst in the NFL. The other angle is you're a dog. So if we think that the Ravens are going to, again, get out to an early lead or the Ravens are scoring at will, is Miami going to just continue to run the ball even though you're down 10-14? I hope it never gets down that deep, that much, Cade, because we got the 7.5. But think of it that way. Tua may have to throw a lot tonight as a dog at home in a place where he's very comfortable. So I love this angle to take Tua to the over 217 and a half. Again, Rhythm is predicting 261.3. So that's a great discrepancy. I'm going to root for the Dolphins and for Tua, obviously, to go over that number. So, Kate, thoughts on Tua, and then let me know the other props you're looking at here tonight.
Yeah, this one in particular was one of the ones that I was referring to about the total, just because it doesn't really make a ton of sense to just root for no points, but then you're going to have a quarterback who you would need to air it out. I like it a lot. We all know, like I said, how bad the Ravens' pass defense has been. Yes, they are healthier. The line does seem a little bit deflated, though. Like, it's a little bit disrespectful, in my opinion. He's been very good at home as a dog. I like them to play from behind in this game, like you were saying. So, yeah, I'll take my chances with another Green Star prop. Another couple of props that I did have. I think I'm going to have to run it back with the ladder tonight, folks.
Let's go. Give it to me.
So, we talked about the rush defense of Miami, and there's only 4 more teams that are giving more rushing yards per game than Miami, who on average are allowing 145 per. Big yikes. I'm taking Derrick Henry's over at the base prop of 87.5. It's on FanDuel right now, and then I'm alternating that up to, I haven't decided if I want to go up to 125 or just 150. I might as well just do the 150 depending on the average, honestly, just for the price. We're up to plus 680 on 150 yards right now. So I think that's extremely high for what Derrick Henry can do. And I look at the past games, Judkins, Vidal, Rico Dowdle. Look at all these guys. I mean, I don't have their numbers right in front of me, but they all had incredible days against this defense over the past month. So asking Derrick Henry to do something just as similar, if not more, is a little bit questionable to me. It hasn't been the prime King Henry season that we thought, but there's a lot of things that's going to work in his favor. Similar, like I said, they have a ton of offensive injuries that are coming back. So I'm willing to bet on that kind of opens up the rush game a little bit personally. So given the fact that Lamar specifically is set to return from the injury, I don't like him risking to run as much more than Derrick, honestly. And Henry's obviously just increased his role over the past couple of games. So we're looking at 25, or not 25, 20 plus carries each of those games. So I like the ladder up to 125 or 150, whatever your books are got. But yeah, that's my one. And then I have a couple of touchdown props with, Keaton Mitchell plus 800, and then Malik Washington at plus 330. A couple of value plays on the touchdowns. I like these under the radar guys that you wouldn't think. And yeah, so I'll take my chances with the higher value.
That makes total sense. And I remember, was it last week or this Thursday before you hit, was it the anytime or the first TD? Didn't you get?
Yeah, it was last week.
9-1, 10-1.
It was Gadsden last week.
That's right. Yeah, so great hit by you on that.
I do have another first touchdowns as well, which we'll get to at the end. But yeah,
all right, you'll save your ammunition there. Your big one for the end of it. I love it. On the topic of, though, I feel like this is a theme every time we do a Thursday show. big name receivers to go under. We've had pretty good success with it so far this year. Zay Flowers is the one that's popping here for tonight. Zay Flowers from Boston College, super speedy. This guy can light you up. You give him an inch, he'll take a mile and take it to the house. However, he's a very, very popular bet here to go over. You're seeing a lot of tweets across the market from sports books and people reporting these numbers. They're PR people talking about how Zay Flowers is one of your most heavily bet overs along with Jalen Waddle tonight. But Rithmm is saying, not so fast here. Zay Flowers across the market, 68.5 receiving yards. Rhythm is predicting 55.9. So that's a decent little edge there on the under, and you're going contrarian against the public who's all playing Zay Flowers over. And then we also have these smart signals. Again, smart signals are the best of the best when it comes to what Rhythm can dish out to us. So it's not only a Green Star recommendation, but even higher than that. It's fitting a specific set of criteria and conditions, saying that in this spot in particular, not just the matchup, but the spot historically, players in this similar situation have cashed at a 58% rate here to the under. So again, maybe be a little careful if you're going to just, auto bet hammer Zay Flowers over. Rhythm is saying not so fast. This could be a pretty good buy low spot to fade Zay Flowers here for tonight. And you look across the market, under 68.5. You can actually get under 69.5, it looks like, at Bet Rivers. And the other one that jumped out to me, Cade, was Malik Washington. Now, Malik Washington is a smart signal, Green Star recommended play. With Tyreek Hill getting banged up, he has assumed a larger role. But again, a very popular guy in recent weeks, at least. Except Rhythm is saying once again, maybe fade the love for Malik Washington. He's at 30.5 across the market. Rhythm's predicting 17.8. So another opportunity here to maybe sell a little bit high and go under. Any other props, or should we get to your anytime touch or your first touchdowns here?
No, I like that. I like that Malik Washington prop a lot, actually, just because I did take him, like I said, have him for the anytime touchdown. But I seen a couple. There is a guy on Twitter. I don't even, if I remember his name, I would like to credit it, but he took like his under receptions or under yards, but over receptions. But yeah, I mean, there is something there where it was like he's got 9 red zone targets already this year or something like that. Just crazy. But like he's only being targeted within like 20 yards and in. After that, dude's a ghost. So yeah, I like that Rhythm's on that here. I like the short field advantage with it a ton. And yeah, 17 yards. That's like that's a nice little edge.
Yeah, a couple other ones we were looking at. Zay Flowers, just mentioned him to his under receiving yards, but Rhythm's also got a Green Star recommended smart signal on his under receptions. You can get under 5.5. It's a little juicy, minus 128. But Rhythm's predicting 4.3. So under 5.5, he can get you 4. He can get you 5. You're still going to cash that under. That's definitely one that jumps out. And then Jalen Waddle's another guy. Again, no Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle is now the big name guy replacing Tyreek Hill. He was kind of his partner in crime prior to the injury. But once again, Rhythm telling you, hey, under 5.5, it's a little juicy, minus 148, but still predicted around 3.8. So that could be another guy that you could kind of sell high on. But give it to me, Cade. I'm going to write these down. I wrote down last week what you got, and you helped me out. So what do you got for me for first TD?
Since I am playing Malik at anytime touchdown, I did take him to score the first touchdown. Let me see. There's a couple of other really juicy ones. Ollie Gordon at 20-1 was one of them. I had to, just because he's back this week. Pat Ricard at, I think it's like something crazy. I think I have it. Yeah. What are we? 100-1 or 10-1? I think it's what no, it is 100-1. But yeah, that's a lot. That's worth a little bit. I mean, like, come on, guys, So Ollie Gordon, I took him. I took Ricard for very, very small, but because I took him so small, I feel like I had to take somebody else. I paired Malik up with his anytime, and then I took D-Hop, like DeAndre Hopkins at 27-1. And
nice.
Yeah.
And what was your Malik Washington? What number did you get for that one?
For the first or anytime?
I guess both. I'll write them down.
The anytime, I have him at 330. First touchdown, I have him at 20-1.
So let's get the first TD and you cash both there, Cade. That would be
would love to.
One hell of a start to Thursday Night Football.
Super small on those. I really hate risking like more than like a quarter on like any of those first touchdowns. They're just fun to sweat out. So
yeah, and also too, like let's say you pick 4 guys, you go 0-4, quarter of a unit each, you only lose a unit. And if you're going to do this
done deal
over the course of a long season, hey, you only got to hit a few of them to make it profitable. So I'll be rooting for your guys here, Cade. But yeah, overall, before we move on, I'm on Dolphins 7.5, Tua over 217.5, and okay, you got a few of them here that you're looking at as well, along with these kind of sell high unders with Zay Flowers and Jalen Waddle. But on the topic of huge games coming up this weekend, I got to get your thoughts on Kansas City and the Bills here, Cade, because this is, as of right now, I kind of think maybe the NFL made a mistake not making this your Sunday night game. Like, this is your 425, which that window is very, very heavily bet. But Seattle, Washington, that's your Sunday night game. I think it should have been KC, Buffalo, or maybe you give them the Monday night instead of Arizona, Dallas. But anyway, this one jumped out to me because I think you're getting a cheap price here on the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs are starting to look like the Chiefs again. Rashee Rice is back. Obviously, Buffalo started off great, hit a bit of the skids there, but then they blew out the Panthers. Maybe they're back on track. But I'll look at this from a data perspective across the market and a rhythm perspective. The data says, hey, this line is moving toward Kansas City. The Chiefs open this game a very short, like 1-point road favorite. So if you can assume 2 to 3 points for home field, Arrowhead's closer to 3 because obviously how loud it gets and that advantage, neutral site, maybe KC is, I don't know, -3 or something like that. But this is a spot where, to me, you're getting the Chiefs at a good time before they really blow up and become that, big public favorite they used to be. I think there's still maybe a buy low opportunity here before the train leaves the station. Everyone just falls in love with the Chiefs again. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's already happened. But I also like the fact from a betting perspective that the Chiefs are not that popular. Like the public doesn't know what to do in this game. It's 50-50 bet split here at DraftKings. So public, hey, it's a good Chiefs number, but also Josh Allen at home. Hey, how can you give that up? But if you look at a lot of the money line splits, they look really good on Kansas City to win this game. So only around 40% tickets, nearly 70% of the money at Circa, really sharp book in Vegas, is going with the Chiefs money line. And if we go to the recommendations for this game and we get down to the Chiefs game, we do have 2 conflicts here. So there's a Bills recommendation and a Chiefs one, but the Bills, that's a caution flag. Maybe there are some elements there, but not fitting all the criteria. I go to my Chiefs recommendation. It's smart signal, Chiefs -1.9. So again, the spread's 1.5. But what I like, Cade, is just win the damn game. You're looking at a prediction here of, what is that? Like 2 points, something like that. I like this Chiefs team to win this game. I think Rashee Rice has really changed the way their offense is going. Patrick Mahomes is playing great. I don't know, something about the Bills. They just lost Ed Oliver. I think Milano will play. I would hate to bet against Josh Allen at home, but I have a Rithmm Green Star recommendation on the Chiefs. The line's moving toward the Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs money line here. What do you think, Cade? Are you in agreement with me, or are you saying, hey, Josh Allen at home? What wasn't the Ravens game? They came back and won. They're down 14 with like a minute left. I believe they were like +1 at home in that spot too. So what's your take on the Chiefs and the Bills here, Cade?
Yeah, I put this one. So I have technically 2 plays. Essentially, they're both the same in a way. Not really, but you'll see what I mean. It's all right. Whatever. Chiefs money. I have Chiefs money line as well. Yeah, they've had their number, man. I don't know. There's something about Mahomes versus Allen. It is just like starstruck. I love it though. The Bills offense been phenomenal. Nothing short of fantastic. 40 points last week against the Panthers, and it's time for a letdown. Defense has struggled a ton. 13th in opponent EPA per play, 26 in defensive DVOA. I think a lot of people are doubting the Chiefs for some odd reason. I took this team live to win their division just last week at around +170, +160, something like that.
Ooh, good number.
Like I was looked at, I was like, are we serious right now with it? So yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people need to be scared of them though. They look completely different when Rice is back with this offense. Specifically, it's been better than it has been in years. 5th in DVOA, 4th in EPA per play. But the strengths or the weaknesses balance out with, Chiefs' strengths pretty much eliminate all of the Bills' weaknesses. So if you can kind of make that to make sense, you know what I mean. Wording's a little hard with that tongue twister.
I got you.
Yeah. I just think they're a step above this year. I think the Bills have been really good, but the Chiefs are just on another level right now. And we said it last week with Mahomes playing at an MVP caliber. I think they win and I think they cover. But I did put them in a teaser, 6-point tease with the Ravens tonight. So I had the Chiefs at plus, I think it was +6, I think is what it ended up coming out to, because it was right on the dot of the -1 line, or it's either +6 or +5, one of the two. Either way, I'm fine, because these games historically have ended within these one possession games. I think you're fine if it's even under the key number of 7, if you're teasing that for the Chiefs. Honestly, very well could be like a difference of like 4 or something as short as Rithmm saying within almost a field goal. So, and then, same thing for going back to Thursday night within the favorites. They find a way to win. Covering is just a different story sometimes, but with how chalky it's been, I'm willing to take my chances. So basically taking the Ravens to win and the Chiefs essentially just to cover that +5 margin. But my full play for a unit is the Chiefs money line.
Hey man, I'm right there with you. Again, you're looking at around -130. Looks like your best price -128. Some books closer to like -135. But here's a stat, Kate, I'm going to throw at you, which jumped out to me when I was doing some research for this game. Patrick Mahomes straight up as a road favorite. He's on the road. He's favored and expected to win in his regular season career. 38-10, 79%, 11% ROI. So again, I think this is kind of one of those games too, where if you just look at, the narrative around the NFL, obviously, going into the year, Bills have had a little bit of a blip here, losing to the Patriots and losing that game to the Falcons on the road. But maybe KC takes this personally, like, hey, we're still the best team around here who's got 3 Super Bowls. We love all the hype. It's great here for Buffalo, but maybe this is a chance for Mahomes to kind of reassert himself and maybe kind of show the NFL that, hey, it's still the Chiefs. You can never bet against them. Kind of like when my Patriots were so good, Katie. As long as we had Brady, we were in that Super Bowl conversation. Although now we have Drake May, so maybe before too long we'll get back to that. Yeah, right. It only took me going through Cam Newton, Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones. I mean, hey, I had to pay to get
the
back
long
to
haul.
Here,
yeah,
certainly the long haul. Kate, I want to get a couple just totals real quick from you, because I mentioned earlier overs have had a good year, 65 and 55, 54%. And there were a couple games that jumped out to me in terms of the total. So the first one was let me find it for you. Broncos Texans. Now, I money lined the Texans because it just makes no sense. Everyone's playing the Broncos. They're getting like 80% of bets, but Broncos actually opened as a short favorite, like -1.5. We flipped to Texans -1.5. And I know the obvious thing is, hey, Pat Surtain is hurt. That's maybe the main reason why, and maybe it is. But also Texans defense, I believe they're the best defense scoring wise, only giving up like 15 points a game. As bad as they looked when I took them with the points, who was it, against Seattle a few Monday nights ago, I believe they've won 3 of 4. So that's just a day to play where everyone's on Buffalo, Lions going to the Texans, everyone's on Denver, Lions going to the Texans. So I'm going to go Houston there. But let me ask you about this total. This is intriguing too, because public thinks it's going to be a low scoring game, but this total is actually ticked up. It was like 38.5, 39. It's up to 40. I think you can still get an over 39.5, but public's leaning slightly under, like 53% of bets are on the under, but at circa 87% of the money is on the over. And Rithmm is predicting it's kind of right on the number, 40.7, but it is a smart signal recommending this play to go over. So it's kind of rare public is split or leaning under and the total rises, and you get a Rithmm recommendation. So, Cade, any love for the Broncos Texans over? And I do think you can get over 39.5. I think still.
Yeah, I like. Wow, yeah,
that's DK. Crazy. Yeah, they still have it.
I also liked the Texans. I had Texans last week were my favorite play. I had them and their team total last week. I think the offense was, I don't want to say revitalized because they were still without Nico. And quite frankly, I mean, I don't want to say it helped because the Niners necessarily aren't as impressive as they have been. But Broncos and both of these offense really, they've been putting up points regardless. Yes, they have really good defenses. And yeah, again, going back to the total, I think it is a little bit deflated. I think a lot of people are still underrating what CJ Stroud can do without his weapons. Just get the ball to the playmakers, and I think you should just let them do whatever they need to do. I'm only worried about the Broncos offense traveling versus the Texans defense at home because historically they've been actually really good at home as a defensive unit. But overall, I'd be trusting the Texans also, which, like I said, is my money line play, to put up the majority of the points here in this case to hit that total. So same angle as last week, honestly. I haven't looked into a team total, but I might have to do Texans money line, Texas over team total again.
No, I love it, man. And again, you mentioned it too with the injuries. Like on the one hand, Pat Surtain is out. That helps your Texans money line. It also helps
Tons. Yeah.
hopefully Stroud to throw the ball better, taking away arguably one of the best defense, or not an argument. He is maybe the best cornerback in the game.
Probably.
And then also if you get Christian Kirk or Nico Collins back, that's going to help offensively. And still Bo Nix, you got some young players here, wide receivers, Franklin, a couple of these other guys that can still put up points. So I'm with you. Give me the money line here with Texans. And again, you can still get over 39.5 with that total at DraftKings. So I'll play that one. The other one that I wanted to ask you about, we just found out some news that it looks like Bryce Young will play for the Panthers. And this total is got a really sharp recommendation for the Panthers and the Packers. Let me see if I got the right one here. I guess it's no longer in the zone. It was around 45-ish. Scratch that one, Cade. That one's moved, and it looks like the market has adjusted to it. Any other games that caught your eye? Any other ones you want to talk about, or should we move over to some college football?
I think for the most part that was it. I did have one, I think. Yeah, I think I'm going back to the well with the Steelers this week. Home dog again against the Colts. I think we're seeing some regression with Indiana Jones and the Colts this week. Hopefully, I'm begging Tomlin as a dog to do something. Hopefully, it's a lot better than that fourth quarter last week. That was gross.
Oh, isn't it funny when you're on a losing streak, things aren't going your way? You remember every game,
everything, every single thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Started with I took the here I get. I'm going to annoy everyone, but things aren't going your way. You got to vent because if you keep it in, Cade, you're going to explode. You're going to smash a window or do something you shouldn't do. But started off with the Commanders 11.5, got down to 10.5, beat the closing line, tied at 7 at halftime. Get their blowers thrown off in the second half. Then the game you just talked about, I was right there with you. Got a 3.5 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They closed at 3, even 2.5. They're up, I think, 9 points at halftime. Get absolutely rolled in the second half. So these are the things that happen, man. I mean, we try to do our best. My book, the NFL Sharp Betting Playbook, I have a chapter, literally, basically the mental side, the emotional side of betting, and you got to be prepared to get your heart ripped out. Sometimes it happens. Don't try not to overreact. But man, it just feels like you can't just lose a good game of battle and you come up short. It's got to be some terrible collapse or some ridiculous thing happening late. So, man, it's just frustrating sometimes. The other one I want to mention, I guess it wasn't Carolina. It was the Patriots over. Patriots Falcons. Yeah, over 45. Rhythm's predicting 47.6. It looks like Michael Penix is going to play. Obviously, Drake May is humming right now, and that Pats offense is playing great. But that's another just smart signal toward the over, recommending another over, which, again, these overs have cashed at a pretty good rate so far this year. But let's go to college real quick, Cade, because there's a few that I wanted to ask you about. And the first one that I think is just kind of a tough game to cap is the Vanderbilt game. So Vanderbilt going to Texas. Obviously, Vandy's playing great. Texas, really not so much. Huge expectations going into the year. They went deep in the college playoff last year. You're bringing Arch Manning. Hasn't really panned out. Texas is basically barely a ranked team anymore. Arch Manning was in concussion protocol. So there's a question of whether or not he'll play. This one's kind of been all over the place because we opened this game. It was mostly, I want to say Texas like -3-ish. They got all the way down to at one point like -2, -1.5. Maybe this is a sign that Arch Manning will play because it's kind of back up to like 2.5 or 3. But do we take the points with Vandy? Obviously Texas is maybe an undervalued play because they've struggled. They're at home. It's a short number. I get all that. But Diego Pavia, Vandy's playing great. You're getting points. Rithmm is saying we should take the points with Vandy. Rithmm is predicting Vandy only plus 1.4 with a green star play and a caution play at just Vandy +1. So, Cade, let me ask you first. You're dialed in to the college world. Any intel on whether or not Arch Manning will play? And then number 2, do you have a side in this game, Vandy, Texas?
I'll start with my side first, only because it doesn't even involve Arch Manning. I am the biggest Diego Pavia hater on this earth, and I'm so sorry. Because the fellas I do my Hammer Time podcast with, Jake and
do they all love him? Is that why?
Oh, they glaze over the guy. I'm like, what are we acting like? This guy's the next Johnny. He's got Johnny Manziel on his sidelines, and he plays like crap. I don't know.
Cade, it's his mom. His mom is the reason why everyone likes him.
That is true.
And Theo Vaughn wants to date her. I mean, come on.
that was a pretty good one. I did see that one. Simply put, if there's any defense that is capable of going to stop this miraculous run that I'll call it, it's Texas. The scheme, essentially, they destroy these kind of concepts where you have quarterbacks in this specific formation where you're either in like a gun, where you're running inside zone, outside zone, counter concepts, stuff like that. It's all they use. And sure, their success rate is great, but defensively, Texas's success rate is 44%, which isn't necessarily, it's up there still. The only thing that I'm questioning on is Texas is going to limit Diego. I know that for a fact, which is going to leave Vanderbilt to depend on Young. They're going to depend on Alexander. They're going to deny any extra yards to any rusher because they're 9th in broken tackles allowed. They don't miss. Whenever they're in the gap, they do not miss. The unknown is Arch Manning. There are reports where he got pulled over this week.
Ooh, tell me more. And he just brought out his license and it says Manning, so let me go, right? And of course I'm making a bad joke here, but the Austin police let him go because his last name's Manning, I'm sure. No, I made that up. I'm sorry. I have no idea. This is the first time I heard of it.
It was a funny picture. It was on Twitter. It's real though. I mean, he's got a state trooper. Dude's halfway out of his window. He's in a GMC Denali, and he's just like looking confused as all get out. And he's like, "Do you know who I am?" I probably, at least. But yeah, from what I've heard and from what I've read, he's been a full participant in practice all week. I would assume that trends to good news. It doesn't necessarily justify to just fully rely on him to play because honestly, I'm really not. It's this defense. Even if he does play, what the backup has done, here's how bad it is. I don't even know the dude's name. I'm not even kidding. But I watched the Florida game, and there were a couple of throws where people were like, dude, just leave this guy in there for the love of God. And he was slinging it. They've been shredded, though, on Vanderbilt's defense. They're 89th in contested catch. And last week against Mississippi State, they had a ton of explosive plays. It's how they won the game back. They were dead. My power ratings call for them to be favored by nearly 5. So I'm moneylined.
Yeah.
I moneylined them. I didn't take the spread, but I got a little bit more juice. It was -146. But this is a rare 2-unit play for me. So I took 1 unit for the money line. I took another unit on Vanderbilt's team total under 21.5. I'm gambling on Texas's defense. I'm going to bet on them to lock Diego down. Sorry to rain on the parade, folks, but I think this is the end. And I apologize, but it's got to end at some point. And I think a lot of people just kind of overreacted on Texas at this point because, down so bad last week. incredible win to come back. I would have honestly liked them even more this weekend if they lost, honestly. But yeah, I think it's just, I don't want to call it a get right spot, but in a way it kind of is because they're pissed off. They shouldn't have played that bad last Saturday, but I don't think they replicate that defensively.
And to your point too, Cade, like I'm making the so truth be told, I did take Vandy earlier because I was thinking, hey, let's get out ahead of the 2.5 if Arch
Sure.
doesn't
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
So again, I might be proven completely wrong if Arch Manning is in, and by Saturday, they're up to -3. But it does remind me a little deja vu when you and I think it was maybe one of our first shows, maybe our second show. It was Ohio State and Texas, and if you remember, Ohio State was like -3. They got down to -1. I know it wasn't really an injury, so it's not exactly the same, but it was a situation where kind of the trendy road ranked dog had an early line move, and then the line kind of crept back toward that favorite, which was maybe undervalued. So weirdly enough, Texas in this spot is kind of in that same spot that Ohio State was in, and then Ohio State ended up winning and covered that game. So who knows? Sometimes anecdotes are deja vu and they portend for the same thing happening. Maybe it won't, but obviously this is a extremely heavily bet game. Again, Rhythm's recommending the points, but we'll see what happens here with the injury because that could have a big influence on the line. The other two I wanted to just get your take on. Cade, I love betting teams that completely let me down, and then I come right back to them the next week. Oklahoma Sooners. Sooners, who were such a again, this is like I'm going over all my even all losses that I forget about and then come right back to me. Oklahoma, fade the trendy dog play. Everyone and their mother on Ole Miss. Oklahoma -4.5 to 5.5. Oklahoma loses the game outright, and John Mateer, I haven't really sweat many of his games before. That guy had zero accuracy. Maybe it was a one-off, but like he airmailed 5 different guys with chances to score and move the ball downfield. So full transparency, I played Oklahoma last week as a favorite. They lose the game outright. So I am not happy with them, but I have to respect kind of what's going on in the betting market here, Cade, because this is a extremely popular play toward Tennessee. Tennessee is at home. It's a short number. They open -3.5. You're getting nearly 80% of bets taking the Volunteers, but the Volunteers are down to -3, and they're juiced up on the not the Volunteer side, but Oklahoma side +3 -115. I see one book even down to 2.5. So the line is moving toward Oklahoma, even though everyone is playing Tennessee. And I do have a couple recommendations here. Again, first one, it is a caution flag, but it's basically got a pick 'em game. Second one here, it is a 2.3. So split the difference, maybe around a 1-point spread. I would much prefer these were Green Star smart signal plays, but blueprint play for me is Oklahoma here. So I jumped on Oklahoma 3.5. I think it was like -120 earlier this week. I'm fully prepared for them to get rolled and me lose again with the Sooners, Cade. But what's your number on this one? And do you agree? Do you disagree? Your thoughts on the Vols and the Sooners?
I have so many thoughts on this game, and it hurts because I've said in the past I'm like a closet Tennessee fan, and I money line Tennessee. So I'll start with that. But here's the thing: I think it's a lot closer than what people think. I'm projecting both teams to be in the 30s, so I'm expecting a dogfight. For some reason, it has like a rivalry game feel to it where it's just going to be points, because we've seen the explosives that both teams can pull off. Joey Aguilar statistically looks and is the best SEC quarterback statistically, not is. I still think Ty Simpson's better, FYI. Here's the thing. This is a college football playoff elimination game at this point. Both teams know that. Oklahoma needed to beat Ole Miss last week. They did not. And same thing for Tennessee. They didn't have any pulse against Bama. They got screwed late against Georgia. Now, this is a must-win spot. This would be the best one of the year by far. Because even then, at the end of the year, they don't have a ton. I mean, they still play Vanderbilt. They still play Florida. There's a shot that they end the year 10-2. But again, it starts with this. Oklahoma's case is their defense. been elite by any means. I've said it week in, week out. This is by far the best defense in the SEC and probably the country. And again, they pretty much proved that I don't want to say they didn't prove that last week because it did not happen. They got mocked bad. And maybe that was just like a wake up call, kind of disrespect to Ole Miss a little bit, possibly. But this week, I think offense kind of wakes it back up a little bit. The Vols, they struggle immensely against the rush. 112th in rushing success rate allowed, ranted against these zone read concepts. And yeah, it's been terrible. They go out and explosive play on 1 of every 11 rushes. So I think the biggest handicap comes with Oklahoma's tackling issues specifically. Tennessee's passing offense thrives. Heupel is mastermind when it comes to these like spread type styles and formations and whatnot. Massive EPA on these kind of schemes. But the thing is, it's just, I think we see these quarterbacks air it out. I love the over. I took it at over 55.5 for even money. And then I moneyline Tennessee at minus 140. That's at ESPN, I think, still, if I'm not mistaken. Those are my 2 plays in that game, though. Overall, I hope Tennessee wins just because, again, I think football's better when they've been really good. And yeah, I want to see a good old-fashioned. If you guys remember, I think I said this a couple of weeks back, like the old school Big 12 days where it was just like every final score had like 56 to 63. That's like what these 2 quarterbacks are capable of, it feels like. And I'm hoping Mateer wakes up a little bit and kind of helps with that. But it's going to be Tennessee's explosive plays to win this total for sure, I'm hoping.
And to your point, too, there is a Rithmm recommendation on the over 55.5. You got a good 55 there. 56.6 is what Rithmm's recommending. So maybe we do get some scoring there, which would be good news for over bettors like yourself, Cade. Last one. I got to give you a gross home dog with a hook. So let's look at Texas Tech and Kansas State. Beauty. Now, this one is like an obvious public play to take the Red Raiders. Red Raiders have the better record. They are a ranked team here, ranked 13th, 7-1. K-State kind of had higher hopes. Avery Johnson was kind of a name you heard a lot last year as taking the next step, maybe being the next big QB in college. They're 4-4. They are unranked. Again, they've been a bit of a disappointment, but let's look at the way this line has kind of moved. I mean, you open this game, a lot of shops were, I want to say it was Texas Tech, like -7, -7.5. And you're getting upwards of, I think 75% of tickets laying it with Texas Tech. Public says, hey, Tech is the better team. They're going to win by 8 or more. Easy cover, lay it with the road favorite. But a lot of those 7.5s are starting to escape and evaporate. You're seeing a lot of these books get down to 7. So again, public all over Red Raiders, but they're not up to 8 or 9. They're down to 7 at a lot of books. So that tells me you got some smart money here going with K-State. K-State in this spot. You look at these home conference dogs, they've been pretty good, 57% against the spread so far this year, and they're around 55% ATS since 2024. You also have the classic unranked dog versus sell high ranked opponent. Unranked dogs are 54 against the spread this year against ranked opponents. And this is a play for me where I'll take the hook here with Kansas State. Cade, 2 models. Now they're both at 7, but you can shop around and still find the hook. One is a caution flag 6.2. One's a green star recommended 5.6. So this is kind of like the Dolphins where you're getting, a 7.5 at home. Public's on the road favorite, but Rithmm is saying it should be more like a 5.5 point game. So, Cade, any thoughts on K-State Wildcats plus 7.5 here?
Yeah, this is one of the better spots of the week, in my opinion, for me. I, too, do have the plus 7.5 for minus 110. Long story short, it is playable up to 7, but yet again, this is like pivotal in Big 12 conference play. Specifically mainly for Texas Tech, just because of how much they need this win. They just need to win. Like at this point, they don't really care about how much they win by or whatever. They already dropped a loss that they shouldn't have earlier this year. And we've seen that was also on the road. And again, this team just tends to struggle on the road. It's just a tricky spot. Joey McGuire and his squad, I mean, like, if you guys watched the Arizona State game, it was bad, first of all. And yeah, backup quarterback was in. They do get Baron Morton back. But again, if he's fully healthy, we have no idea. I mean, he hasn't even played that great in conference play when he is healthy. So he's going up against Kansas State defense that hasn't been anything special, but they've turned a corner because ever since that week 0 game, they've allowed over 24 points per game over the last month. And I mean, they're coming off an effort where pretty much I don't want to say they shut out because they didn't shut them out, but they shut down Jalen Daniels in Kansas last week. And that was a big, big game. They were also dogs in that one. So they won that one outright. On the other side of the ball, Kleiman and that offense, Avery Johnson, dumpster fire for a little bit. Like, it looks kind of scary. But there's proof of the concept for how to attack. What has been really good for this Texas Tech unit, I think they kind of pinpoint out where it hurts. And I think referring back to that Arizona State game, there's going to be a ton of film for them this week. I have a ton of questions about them to stay in the fight if they get down, because it feels like if this team is down, they're just dead. So we're hoping the Little Apple is active, and we might have a little bit of upset watch going on in Manhattan. So I'd like Avery Johnson and the offense to look a lot better than they have, but mainly, yeah, shut down that offense and you have a definite shot at this game. 1,000%. I did sprinkle money line in this one as well.
Love it. Well, hope you get your money line, because that means I got my 7.5, Cade. So
yeah,
that'll be nice for everybody. But yeah, that pretty much does it here. Wrapping everything up. Just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in, and remind everyone that there are some great features at Rithmm right now. So if you haven't done it yet, go download the app, give it a 5-star review in the App Store. Reminder, we do have our leaderboard contest, so you can win up to $1,000 every single week. It's crazy. Megan and Brian and the team, they're paying out $1,000 to the first place system creator. Second place, I believe, is $600, and then $400 for the third place. Happens every week. It costs you nothing to enter. So create a good model. If your model does well, boom, you're going to make some money in your pocket. And then also just wanted to mention how you can also get the refer a friend discount. There's a Discord as well. All those features are available to you when you download Rithmm. So, Cade, great job today, buddy. We'll be right back at it next week. And any final thoughts? Any send-offs here? Let's go Dolphins 7.5. That's my final thought.
Dolphins 7.5 and maybe a first touchdown score for what did we have? Malik Washington. We sprinkled Pat Ricard and somebody else. Who was it?
D-Hop,
Ollie Gordon and D-Hop.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4 of them tonight. So we're hoping for a good pull.
And Cade, you know what? When things aren't going your way, when you're cold as ice like me this past week,
we're due,
and it's always darkest before the dawn, my friend. Little Batman quote to take you home there. So good luck, everybody, and Cade, keep up the good work. We'll see you back next week. Thank you for tuning in to another edition